Alright, time for another DraftPhysics.com, debatephysics.com also, but can't engage any physicist anywhere on planet Earth in any kind of argument or debate or interaction period that isn't junk. Uh, they call me a flat earther. I say, yeah, go. Exactly. And, that's all it is. But anyway, so this VT physics, teacher, interesting, blah, 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 person, all that, personality, whatever, makes a lot of shorts now. And so does a 2-minute video on binding energy. Now, 2 minutes on the strong force, it's got to be a waste of time. So we'll play it because it's just, physics is just too silly. All right, let's play it with the look. Okay, I'll give you the right answer. Instead of playing their game where you have to wait till the end for the right answer. It always has some catch, and some little gimmick to it, and blah blah blah. I'll be reasonable and fair, and and I'll show you how simple it is. Okay, so they already know there's a thing called an electron and a thing called a proton. So they already know the existence of these two charges, and they know they have the opposite effect on each other. So they know all this already. Okay, it's really just you can't claim, oh, we were surprised by that truth and we didn't understand and some sort of crap like that. So they have an electron, let's call that one, and we'll call this one a proton. Okay, and they already know that too. They've found that neutrons basically decay into these two objects with a anti-neutrino. So let's just forget about the neutrino nonsense and just understand that this is what a neutron decays into if it's appropriate to call it decay. Okay, it falls apart is the simple answer. And when it's in the atom, it's together, very close together. So you could understand that this is really not nuclear physics. It's not all that complicated. So you have a negative thing and a positive thing. They are attracted to each other, and if there's nothing to keep them from sticking to each other, they'll stick to each other, is the simple truth. And that becomes what's called a neutron. But clearly you could understand that, well, if I stuck another, if I stuck, right, I'm worried about protons, right? So I can't get two protons, they're too powerful, so they could never be close to each other, because the repulsive force, like two negative magnets, north-facing magnets, they repel too strongly. But clearly, all I'd have to do is stick the proton over here. Problem solved. Okay, now I can get two protons really close to each other if I just stick an electron in between them. Now they can't see each other, they can't repel each other, they're completely neutralized. So just like a magnet would do, I could have a north-facing magnet here and a north-facing magnet here, like this, north and north. And if I want to stick the north to the north, all I'd have to do is stick a south in here, right? And the job is successfully accomplished. So, it's really not complicated at all. There's no strong force pushing protons together. The force is a negated force. You're getting rid of the repulsive force by replacing it with an attractive force. It's not complicated at all. Even by their own theory, even by what they already understand, they could deduce this. Obviously, I could add value by pointing out how the force works and why the things are pushed together. But, even without knowing that why, you can know it's not some new added force. It's just what charges do. It's what magnets do. So, it's not even close to elusive as a visualization, and yet they just keep talking this crap about a magical force from nowhere that does some amazing amount of work.
We will explore what binding energy is in this video lesson, but first I want to ask you.
Video lesson. This whole holding this little dorky microphone is so lame. Anyway.
This question. How can a nucleus stay intact if the protons are repelling each other?
Well, the simple solution is stick some electrons in there, which makes perfectly good sense to the balance of the universe, in the sense that if the nucleus is a net positive, right, So you're saying there's twice as many protons as there are electrons in the nucleus. So you just put electrons in the nucleus, it ends up creating something that's disproportionately high in protons versus electrons. And the rest of the electrons that balance the atom are on the outside. I mean, not even close to complicated.
Well, we know that there is the electromagnetic force, which is a repulsive force.
So it's charge, it's not the electromagnetic force, it's just the function of charge. So they don't even make this very clear. Okay, there's, you can't talk about the charges and say they're both electrical and magnetic. What they are is charged. And the charge means that one radiates something the other one can't see. And that's just the simple truth of it. They can only see the radiation of their own kind. So it's a force only they can see when it's coming from something that's the same as they are. So I mean, it's really just so simple.
Between particles with the same charge. And this is why a proton next to another proton will repel each other.
Unless there's an electron between them. So unless there's again, you can stick north-facing magnets very close to each other by just sticking a south face in between them.
So to keep the nucleus from flying apart, there must be a force that pushes the protons and neutrons together.
So they're just doing it. That's all they have, really. That is their physics. It's nothing more complicated than they're just figuring it's just protons in the nucleus. They're not understanding that the neutron isn't really neutral. It's a dipole. It has an electron in it. The electron is being used to enable another proton to stick to the other side of the neutron. Duh. Duh, 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 duh.
This force is known as the strong nuclear force.
Right, we just made it up. It doesn't make any sense. It comes from nowhere. It has no source. There's no, where does the energy come? Oh, well, the energy just comes from the magic place that we make energy. The bent geodesic maybe makes it. Who knows? Woo, 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 woo.
And now that we realize the existence of the strong nuclear force,
we realized it by making it up. So we have the existence of the Gremlin force. The Gremlin force is pushing the protons into each other even though they don't like each other. The Gremlin force did it.
Let's do a thought experiment on this.
Funny.
Hypothetically,
I hate this planet. Just hate it here. Everybody's an asshole.
You are asked to take this nucleus apart. To pull the nucleons apart.
It should be really easy to pull them apart, but they hate each other. She just pointed out, and there's this strong force that's holding them together. So I guess all you have to do is stop the gremlins from pushing them together. So you need an anti-gremlin force. So let's see what she comes up with.
Work must be done on the system. The amount of energy.
So it makes that makes zero sense, right? You have to do work to undo what the non-force did by pushing the protons together. So no, the work is you're really trying to get rid of the binding energy of the electron. The electron is making it possible for the protons not to see each other. And what you have to do is disturb those electrons enough where the protons can see each other and then they'll fly apart. So, but it's pretty hard to disturb a nucleus because everything is really compact. So there's not much wiggle room in nucleuses. That's why you have to hit them with something hard and fast. You have to hit them hard to break a nucleus because there's not much space between them. There's not much wiggle room that'll allow you to break it enough for it to fly apart.
That is required to dismantle a nucleus into its constituent protons and neutrons
so that's not what it does. It breaks it into bigger clumps of nucleus, okay? So all you can really do is cut it in half or cut it in thirds. You can create some other elemental nucleus. So you can change uranium into lead and barium or some other kind of bullshit. You can convert it, but you don't really break it into electrons and protons. So you can't split it apart like it was bowling pins. All you can do is fracture some adhesion point, one of these electrons. If you can get one of these electrons to move a little bit, the protons see each other, they go, holy shit, I don't like it here, and they shoot the fuck out.
Known as the binding energy.
And they shoot out with, in some cases, they shoot out with the neutron actually shoots out. So that's what happens in a nuclear bomb, is you're really just shooting neutrons out. So you can shoot a couple of neutrons out of the nucleus, and they end up leaving with a high energy because they're repulsive from the proton force that's now being seen, and they shoot off with a high velocity and crash into other nucleuses and cause a chain reaction of splitting atoms. And it's called splitting atoms. They're split.
You can also think of the binding energy as being equivalent to the energy that would be liberated when combining individual protons and neutrons in.
Right, so it's just all silly talk that if I took all the energy of the repulsive power of the electrons to the electrons and all the energy of the protons hating each other and pretended, okay, you didn't mitigate all that by putting them really close together and having them cancel each other, that there'd be a lot of repulsive energy. And yes, that's true, but that's not the truth. The truth is the damn thing is arranged pretty well. It survived being in the center of the sun. Okay, the nucleus was made. That nucleus was made inside the high pressure of a sun. It was compressed really well. And so it's not going to be that easy to get all of that energy out. You can only get a piece of the energy out. So again, when we split an atom, we're only taking a tiny percentage. The nuclear bomb is only taking a percentage of the total energy it could extract. I mean, if it could turn all of the atoms into hydrogen, it could, it would be many-fold more powerful as a bomb.
To a single nucleus. But there are times when
well, that's what they do with a hydrogen bomb. They actually put hydrogen, easy to break atoms around the nuclear bomb, and then force the nuclear bomb to basically break a bunch of smaller atoms.
Might be more useful to speak in terms of the binding energy per nucleon instead of just the binding.
Oh, so whatever, nucleon. It's just, why bother with a silly word like that? You know that the damn nucleus is made out of electrons and protons. Neutrons are an electron and a proton. You already figured that part out, so why are you pretending there's something else in there? It's just electrons and protons. That's it. You arrange them next to each other in the right order, and they cancel each other's negative forces, and they'll just all end up being attractive, and it's all quite comfortable, and that's the nature of a neutron star. It's just putting a bunch of positive and negatives, a bunch of dipoles, and arranging them like inside of a magnet. Just arrange them all north, south, and they'll fit together very well. It's so frickin' simple, and they make this so complicated and mushy and wooey. And they do it for no good reason, because they don't have any imagination, and they can't think for themselves, and they can't even draw it on a piece of paper and say, what do I think really happens? They're so glued to this stupid read your Bible, tell the silly stories about how, he walked on the water and he rose the dead and blah, 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 and cured the woman's fetters, her curse and such. Silly shit.
Energy. To work out the binding energy per nucleon, you just have to divide.
So then they have to throw in their little mathematical formula that they never really calculate anything, and they never really measure anything. They just tell you this is what it is. Here's my magic number. No one's going to test me on the answer.
The binding energy by the total number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus. For example, the binding energy of a helium nucleus is 28.3 megaelectron volts. And you know that a helium nucleus contains 2 protons and 2 neutrons.
Yeah, so why are you talking about helium when that's not what you're able to break? So again, just kind of bullshit.
Let's divide 28.3 megaelectron volts by 4 nucleons, which gives the helium nucleus a binding energy per nucleon of 7.1 megaelectron volts. So now we have defined both the binding energy and binding energy per nucleon.
So you hadn't done anything, and that's the end of the video. So that was just spectacularly useless. Mush. So obviously there's a ton of energy in a nucleus. You can extract some of it by splitting it into two new nucleuses, but you're not really getting the full value of the amount of pressure that it took to build the thing. And the fact is that if again, all you have to do is jiggle it enough, and all the little pieces start to see that they're in a place where they hate their neighbor, so to speak, and they all fucking sell their house. So, that I don't know what analogy to use, but I mean, there's some perfect analogy, but you could probably do this with magnets. You could arrange a bunch of magnets and then have them a little spaced between each other, and then you could jiggle it and the whole thing will fly apart, and that's all this is. Ugh, junk videos, just absolute crap. All right, so just throw this in as a second subject. The physicist Michael guy, okay, he hasn't made a video in like a month and a half or something. He's supposed to be proving to us that you can have free momentum. He's supposed to make a nice big Newton's cradle and do all the nice measurements for the 1-to-3 or 1-to-5 mass ratio. The 1-to-5 would be even better, but then you're supposed to make 3 times the energy. So 3 times the momentum. No, we haven't seen any of that. And so he does this, whatever, a minute and 55-second pile of shit about looking at the solar eclipse, which is, newsflash, not really an event. Okay, it's really not interesting. And what they should be doing is obviously doing their little Eddington experiment. But it's not a perfect eclipse for that, unfortunately. I mean, really, who cares? All this stuff this is elementary school. So, I mean, maybe you can get little tiny kids to be terribly interested, but I don't know why any adult would find this all that fascinating. Oh, the moon's going to move in front of the sun. Oh, how exciting. No, it's really not. And, they videotape it with the best cameras and do all this stuff. You've seen, what the hell's, why do I need to get personal with the sun? See one of its little blemishes. Oh, how exciting. No, not exciting at all. So anyway, it'd be nice if somebody would comment just asking if he's going to do the free momentum experiment. Okay. Are you once and for all going to prove that you can make free momentum? And do it with a Newton's cradle where you really aren't going to be able to play any games with your air carts and your little rolly carts. Let's see you do it with a clean experiment. All right, so that being done, let's move on to, I suppose, the website. And we'll talk a little bit about that because there's some comments I can deal with at the same time. So I have changed it a little bit. You should be able to see this. So yes, it does resize to your browser a little better. I don't know if that's at all necessary, but whatever. The complainers, So yeah, I think this has been very good, frankly. I mean, as much as it sucks to be banned for life at Wikipedia, it's given me an opportunity to, expose this again. All you're going to get is pop culture. The whole internet is being run by little groups of people who get to tell everybody else what they have to believe. These little special interests. So the whole internet is run by these popularity, special interest bullshit. Lowest common denominator nonsense. This website gets no views from Google. So Google sends nobody here, all right, on the subject of physics. There's just no visibility whatsoever. I spent the last, month and a half just getting them to index the damn pages. But it doesn't matter. Even when they index them, they don't read them, they don't show them, they don't reference them, they don't connect the words here to any search queries because they're too busy giving you a bunch of redundant pages from the same people over and over again. And, that's what you voted for as an internet. You don't even have the option on Google to say, don't give me pop culture. Don't give me the popular references. Give me the goddamn unpopular references, please. Let me know what somebody else might think, except the institutions. I don't want to know what the institutions have to say. I don't want to know what the Republicans or the Democrats have to say because they're both corrupt, crooked, thieving, monstrously hypocritical, nonsense, retarded fucknuts. So please, tell me some other story, because those two stories suck. All right, the standard model's a pile of shit. It shouldn't be shoved down everybody's goddamn throat. Anyway, so, but this is kind of a good outline of the subjects. And I might change some of this. You probably don't need a separate one for thrust and work, but that's how it started with Wikipedia. So it's sort of it's sort of connected to the progression. So these categories probably aren't all that bad. Now the EM charge one is going to end up being the biggest, because that's going to have electricity and magnetism in it. So there's going to be in quite a few videos in that category. And I'm combining some are Wikipedia videos directly, and some are other assholes, frankly, videos. And try to make them all not redundant, but, incrementally going through the subjects in some sort of way. But, there's no way to do physics in 5 minutes. I mean, it's just not a 5-minute subject. I mean, you can try, but I just mean it's not going to be very successful. But anyway, so it does work pretty well. I like it. I did cancel the $2,000 challenge temporarily, because I don't know whether it's if it's even worth paying these people anymore. I mean, if no one's going to be able to really engage in the argument, and the audience is so goddamn stupid, then maybe there is no point. But it does list all the people I have emailed and gotten no positive response from, just to make it a record that, I did my part. And no, I do need to fix that text, don't I? Yes, I do. So that changed when I expanded the size of the page. Yeah. All right. There's always little details you got to take care of. And then the profiles of the assholes, I will start to just add them as I, but there's a whole bunch, that I haven't added, but they're all assholes, frankly. There's all just this shit talk, like all they can say in response, like this guy was, oh, you're a flat earther. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm making a real argument, a real challenge to your physics, and you're just pretending you don't have any obligation to defend your shit physics. This guy was a great example. He pretended he didn't understand what thrust was, like it's not energy somehow. And this weasel, this stupid Simon Dan weasel, I have to find his comments. But just such a coward, picks on the silliest and stupidest arguments of the debunking community, the lowest possible hanging fruit, and they have no courage to take on better arguments than that. And there are better arguments out there, but these cowards won't go anywhere near them. All right, and so I guess we're stuck with the comments. Which I will eventually probably make more viewable, but you can see them you hit post comment. You can either just comment, you can get rid of the clear box is what this is, CL box, that just clears it. Then you can type your little shit and post the comment. Or you can just hit load the box and it'll show you the newest comments, and they're always just nonsense. So some asshole says per second, per second, per second, per second. Okay, not very useful. All right, watching you read Wikipedia like English is your second language. So who cares? I mean, English was Einstein's second language. He didn't speak it very well, but I think he was worth listening to. Okay, I mean, there's a ton of people have accents and defects in the way they talk. Who cares? So anybody who that's important to, I have to argue, must be an imbecile. They're just wasting people's time. It's like saying, you can't make a video if you have a bad haircut. Okay. I mean, I should pay attention to someone with a bad haircut and say, oh, they can't make a video because they have a bad haircut. I mean, you know how ridiculous your commentary is? It's just so meaningless. Who the fuck? Somebody who cares about whether my hair is combed isn't worth talking to. You can't understand that. You really can't. You really can't understand that. You really think all that bullshit matters to somebody who's going to read a physics book. Somebody who cares about hearing about the truth. This is the kind of stuff that matters to people going to church. You know, we got to wear your suit. And, oh, look, her earrings are crooked. And, some kind of bullshit. I mean, that's what church people do. Okay, anyway. All right, it says, it's boring as fuck. Oh, that's your problem. So, I mean, this is a person that's no doubt been blocked off the website because they can't make a relevant remark. And so then they're just showing up here to talk this shit. And as I've pointed out, I can block your IP. So if you want me to do that, that's what I'll do. But, I mean, this isn't interesting shit. Okay, you're talking about being boring and uninteresting. Well, this is boring and uninteresting. So he says, make more interesting shit. And physics will pay attention. No, that's not the standard for somebody paying attention. We know it's all a cabal, right? I mean, Physics Girl knows that Smarter Than Everyday guy. They were friends in Veritasium, and they're all connected. And you can see it in their comments section, where they all show up to comment on each other's videos and praise each other and blah, 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 blah. So it's all a popularity engine. That's the way morons like you want it. And people with a brain say, that's not what I want from a fucking public library. I don't want to walk into the public library and only get the books written by 15 people. And those are the only books I can pick from. Those 15. Nothing else. All right. If these force bits accounted for strong force and gravity, wouldn't atoms deep inside the Earth be flying apart since they are in the shadow of the force bits? Yeah, well, you're not getting it, though, but they're all moving in. The only way they can absorb energy is they have to be moving. So it's the pushing force idea. So the atoms are moving in. They no longer are producing gravity, okay, but they're a thing with charge moving in a direction, and they're moving from both sides, from all sides. Okay, all sides are moving in towards the center. So like in the sun, the same thing is happening. The sun has a whole bunch of stuff on the outside producing a tremendous amount of weight or movement in. And the stuff blowing up on the inside, is having a hard time getting out. And that's why it explodes through the surface. That's why it has sunspots. That's why all that shit happens, is because the energy that it's creating on the inside is having a hard time getting out because there's a ton of pressure pushing in the opposite direction. So all kinds of little pressure wars have to take place. There's some physicists who speculate that it takes 1 million years for a photon to get from the center of the sun to the outside of the sun. That takes 1 million years for the energy to actually get the hell out of the sun because there's so much obstacle. And it's so dense. There's so many millions and trillions of interactions it has to go through. The pressure has to go through so many interactions that it literally takes 1 million years for the energy to get the fuck out of the sun. So yes, it stops being gravitational and it starts being more physical, so to speak. And by physical, we're talking about electron on electron or proton on proton. So it still has force involved. The force between them, the individual little magnets, is still pushing. But now it's a magnetic force. It's an electric force. It's a charge force that they're being stopped by. They're being held in the center by. So yes, they're gravitationally not being forced into the center. They're being physically pushed into the center. All right, there wouldn't be as many force bits. Let's see, with that I can't even tell. Holding them together. So the holding together part's not a problem, frankly. I guess you could say if there is a surplus needed for that, and there is still enough deep down, maybe that would work. Well, you're answering your own question then. Obviously, that's the whole point, is that the the force can only really activate when you start reflecting it. That is, pushing things away, all right, with another force coming in that's going to cause constant reflections. So, I mean, if two protons move away from each other, they'll use up the force that's in here. But if there's a force pushing them into each other, then they'll reflect. The force bits will keep reflecting. So you'll be using the same force bit over and over again to push them apart. So the more force on the outside technically creates more force on the inside, because the same force will reflect constantly. All right. I think it's an adequate answer. All right. I guess haven't seen the ads about buying desperate foreign women. Okay, so anything you say on the internet or anything you say, really, people have to make these counter arguments. So they think I made up these stories. I'm telling you, okay, the sidebar ads especially were a bunch of services where you can buy yourself an Eastern European woman or an Asian woman, whatever you want. Okay, they were selling women, frankly. And so that's just a fact. And then they actually ran a couple of actual ads for the same companies where, this is Ugala, you can meet her for 43 cents, call blah, 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 or text blah, blah, it's tacky as fuck. It's just a fact that YouTube's pretty desperate. It'll allow almost anybody to advertise, Yeah, so I'm just saying, you haven't seen the ads for the cancer cures and you want to fix your whatever prostate problems and this, these little miracle cure ads. You haven't seen these fucking tacky shitty ads? So don't be telling me it didn't happen, you fucking cunt. All right, must be based on what you are searching for. No, I think it's based on what the video is, frankly, but whatever. You can see the sidebar in my video, so I just did a video. Let's go look, right? So this was the vt.physics video. So let's go look at what my recommended videos, right? So we just move this over. These people just keep making all these little fake accusations about shit, and it's just such a waste of time. So physics video, physics video, physics video, physics video, physics video, physics video, physics video. Let's see, physics. So this is an archaeology video. This is a historic thing in New Zealand video. Physics, physics, physics. Physics, 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 physics. Oh, just physics. I mean, why all these things? I actually hate this Angela cunt. And they're just shoving them in here because I watch a couple of her videos to debunk them. All of a sudden they think I'm a fan and now she's more popular. Because I'm debunking her, she's more popular. I mean, that's what the whole system is just such crap. All right, this is like some kind of engine, no moving parts, So you're saying that if you watch physics videos, you're going to likely get an ad for buying a European woman, a desperate European woman or Asian woman. That's your argument. Well, fuck you. It's a stupid argument. I just hate this planet. It's fucking pieces of shit everywhere. It's talking all kinds of crap. Alright, that's where we were, right? Alright, let's see if there's anything else here. You say electrons and protons get dragged to a halt, but not neutrons so much. Well, where did I say anything about neutrons not getting dragged to a halt? So look, do I have to keep making actual physics arguments to you people? You don't even know what your own theory says. So the physicists say basically you need a helium nucleus. That's what a cosmic ray kind of energy is going to come in the form of. All right, is sort of this minimum component. It has to be like a helium nucleus, so it's more than just a neutron. They don't say that neutrons are hitting the atmosphere. They don't say that neutrons are hitting the ionosphere and being converted. So there's no high-speed neutrons, there's no high-speed protons, there's no high-speed electrons hitting the Earth except for ones that are part of the ionized gas that the sun leaches. So there's a few in the ionized gas that the sun leaches, but other than that, there's no cosmic ones. So we're not getting any single protons, single electrons, or single neutrons from outer space. That's the argument. And if it gets here, it's because it's a helium nucleus. That can do it. But nothing else can make the trip. That's their own theory, fucktard. Oh, Jesus. All right. The whole point is how much energy does something have behind it, but how much energy it gives away. And the whole point of the argument is that you have to make one of these deuterons. You have to make a proton, electron, proton machine that can plow through space, because this back proton can never feel any resistance. No drag at all for this back proton. So the back proton sees no counter energy at all. It doesn't see any. Okay, because it's negated by the electron. So as long as this thing stays stable, it can shoot through space without any encumbrance, because all of the force against its motion will be negated by the engine that keeps pushing, the engine that could. All right. Let's see. Do you think comets are propelled by uneven heating? They're propelled by it? No. It's a tiny amount of influence from their, if they're going, say, 30,000 or 40,000 miles an hour. The fact that one side of them starts vaporizing a little bit, change their trajectory a little, but I don't think it's going to be much. Are particles which you see as a tail? I think you said that in the third video about Collier, and you think Oswald was a lone gunman. Yeah, of course I think so. I mean, the ballistics, the whole diagram of it is exactly what you see on the Zuber film. You see the damn thing happening. They have a videotape of the whole fucking thing happening. There's not even any practical way to shoot him from the front of the goddamn car and make what happened. It's not even possible, but it's clearly possible from a high location to shoot through his neck and into John Connolly's arm and leg. That makes perfectly good sense. So again, all this bullshit, and the third bullet ending up in the glove compartment or whatever, a miss. But clearly two solid hits, and his brain exploding was clearly just so obvious. He did this, and then his brain got blasted to pieces. I mean, what is complicated? Why do you fucking lunatics have to turn everything, every fucking thing, into some anti-theory? I mean, no wonder you believe in antimatter. You can't accept any reality. There's one comment about fucking evolution in here. It's so fucking stupid. Where the hell is that? I thought it was right here. I thought it was near the top. Let's see, strong force. I guess you haven't seen ads. Okay, protons. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, a cell randomly grew into a neuron. So of course, whatever you mean by randomly, okay, it didn't. It was a process of cause and effect. So we know that in small little organisms, okay, little single cell organisms that have a bunch of little flagellas and different things, that an important feature of their function is being able to communicate from the front of them to the back of them, for them to know that if they see danger, to poo, to do these different things that'll allow them to escape. And so it's just logical for you to understand that the chemical, like moving a chemical ion, okay, from one end of their body to the other end, is a little more complicated than just shooting some electricity, okay? It's not even more complicated, it's so much slower. So clearly the speed of electricity would be something you'd want to take advantage of. And your heart's doing it right now. The surface of your heart just ionizes all the atoms. The atoms just ionize. And then it sends the electricity across all those ions, fires all the muscles, causes the contraction, and it just reionizes the opposite way, and so it just keeps doing that back and forth. And obviously there's a huge advantage to that process. So you could understand that, it started off with just a single ion, then through evolution the ions got thicker and thicker, the number of ions in the soup, And then eventually it figured out, well, if I put all these ions right here on the surface, I can send an electric signal really quickly. I can send an electrons through that path and trigger an event that fast instead of waiting for the chemistry to slowly move the ion across the field. So it didn't happen randomly. All right, it happened through cause and effect and through little incremental advantages that were accrued through these changes in its function. Again, we had a very big brain before we invented high school. I mean, we weren't using it much, okay? It was a tiny, tiny advantage, but it had the potential to create a huge difference in our function. And evolution does that sometimes. Now, that's a rare case. That's why we're the only ones doing it. It's because most of the time, evolution doesn't give you faculties you haven't figured out how to use yet. It doesn't give you eyes with lids over them so you can't see at all. And then one day just decides to open the lid and you have a working eye. That don't happen. But, I mean, what? You don't even bother, you're just a little religious kook. You don't understand anything. You haven't studied anything. You haven't thought about anything. Your little stupid weak brain, and this is the best you can do. Oh, couldn't happen. Yeah, it could happen. You're just too fucking stupid to understand because you're a stupid dupe who believes a little fable about little magic people who walked around rising dead people and stuff. You believe silly, stupid, archaic, moronic stories by cultures that were fucking third world pieces of shit. People who, your God wasn't even kind enough to explain what a microbe was in the fucking Bible. He couldn't even cut us that much latitude. Your insane, insipid, psychotic God couldn't even tell Moses, oh, watch out for, wash your hands because there's I put all kinds of bacteria on everything. And some of it's really dangerous. So, you got to wash your hands, wear a mask now and then, all that kind of shit. He didn't even give him that advice. The best he could do is don't screw your neighbor. Some God. Fuck that. Fuck you. Fuck you, you ignorant, dumb motherfucker. Alright. So fuck that asshole. Alright. Do you think comets are propelled? Okay, we did that. Alright. Don't you ever compare your claim of MGT to any data. So that's hilarious. So why don't I compare my claim to the data when I'm saying it perfectly duplicates the data because it's the actual right source. The two formulas will give you the right answer in gravity as long as you don't have any pre-existing velocity. So the MGH formula works if you just drop things in gravity. But it stops working as soon as you give something a velocity before it got to the gravity. So if you give it a velocity going in, your formula completely fails. MGT gets the right answer in both circumstances. So I can give something a pre-existing velocity and MGT will get the right answer. Your theory will get the wrong answer. That's the simple proof right there. MGT works in all circumstances. MGH only works in one special circumstance. Fuck you, you lose. Alright. How does it feel knowing your channel is dead? Well, it's never felt very good. 20 years, 25 years on the internet haven't felt very good. I don't like what the world's done either. So yeah, it's the world's getting shittier because the internet sucks at doing what it's supposed to do, which is create an information superhighway, not a billboard, a stream of billboards. You can't even retain much brain dead followers. And again, who cares about a follower? It's not my interest, frankly. It's fun to check in every few months to see you sink deeper and deeper into the pit of irrelevance. I'm smiling. Well, my argument is you won't be when, your prodigy is watching you get pissed on in your dead, stinking, ugly, cruddy, fucking, unattended grave. So it's my hope that you are appropriately get exactly what you deserve, you ignorant motherfucking piece of dirt. And, I will smile. in some virtual form. Yeah, maybe it won't be me personally. It'll be the AI version of Inmendum. They probably could make such a thing. And the AI version of Inmendum will be smiling at your appropriate disgrace. Because you really are ignorant and you're belligerently stupid. And that's really disgusting. To be belligerently stupid is a crime. It's a crime against millions of years of evolution to get to this point where we have a thinking, reasoning brain, and you motherfuckers can't do anything better with it than to talk this crap about how I'm not wearing the proper bow tie. I mean, just fuck you till fucking appropriately, not in the condition you currently are. Get what you fucking deserve. Let's see, your web page looks like shit, and I think that might be one reason why people think you are a psycho. Yeah, I'm really interested. It's a great counter argument. It can be said to every motherfucker on planet Earth. Doesn't mean a goddamn... Oh, you don't like me. Gee, how fascinating. God, you're just such ignorant, stupid weasels. Alright, so enough of that crap. And such, and so forth and whatnot. Yeah, well, you couldn't see it, but you can't see it anyway. It's very small. I have to fix that page so you can read this shit. But what's the point of reading it again if these commenters aren't doing anything useful? Nobody. The audience is brain dead mush. It's just disgraceful how stupid people are, and they talk like they know something. They don't think about it. They don't research anything. They don't do anything to substantiate what they think or talk about. They're just so full of goddamn Trumpies. They're all the whole fucking planet is just covered in fucking Donalds. Little mini Donalds. Stupid, fucking arrogant, obnoxious piles of fucking goddamn fucktarded, stupid, ignorant shit. Alright. It just sucks being here. Sucks. I don't like it here. Should be a much better planet. Could have been. Humans could have really done a great job of being smart, and instead just made a great job of being scheming scum. It's just a gigantic, huge, monstrous tragedy. Neurons are a terrible thing to waste. It's a terrible waste to have a neuron. Quaileyism. Anyway, till the next time, and such and so forth and whatnot. Fuck. I hate